All right, you guys, we'll start in like 2 minutes. 2 minutes. I'm just getting settled in. All right. All right. So that is the great Alex Plox, one of our God of War members, doing music from the Twisted Metal. Holy shit, you guys. All right. Now, let's be clear. I have nothing prepared, right? This is not... We're doing a proper Gabbing Games today at 5 o'clock. I'm literally waking up after about 3 hours of sleep. I went to bed at 3 o'clock in the morning, 3:30. I got up at about 6:15 to get water, as I should not do, but I do. I checked the internet because I was awake, and I see this, and I'm just like, at first I'm like, I don't want to make a big deal out of it. I mean, it's a big fucking deal, literally and figuratively. I don't want to make a big deal out of this, but I mean, I know this sounds hyperbolic. I was like, am I dreaming? This is bizarre. This doesn't make any fucking sense in the world in which I live. And you know, there's no need for me to tell you, but I'll tell you, the Activision is apparently making an offer. That's, remember, just like Take-Two buying Zynga, it's not done till it's done. And I guess now, excuse me, you guys. I mean, I haven't read, I'll get to those super chats in a second. I haven't read the Wall Street Journal. I don't have a subscription to the Wall Street Journal, so I don't know if it's like the Zynga deal where Zynga now has a month to go out if they want to and try to field a better offer, or maybe this has been in the works for, you know, it's already moved beyond that. I have no idea. But $70 billion for Xbox, or more specifically Microsoft, to acquire Activision Blizzard. Bobby Kotick I think it's clear that Bobby Kotick is going to stay on during the transition. I cannot imagine he will be there, nor would he probably want to be there much longer after all the transition is complete. Blah 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 blah. So, but everybody's in speculation land who's not on the inside. I tweeted to a friend of mine. I don't know if he's responded yet. He works at Activision, and I was curious how much they knew. There's no way the average Activision employee, not that he's average, he's quite talented, but there's you know what I mean. There's no way that the average Activision employee had any fucking idea, because they would have leaked it. So we're going to talk about this absolutely off the cuff, no planning. So Gravedoll says Bobby Kotick already sent a company-wide email. Did he send that today, and has that leaked yet? I'm assuming it absolutely has leaked. I will check for that. Chip is super chatted. Thank you, buddy. He says, can I draw you? Which do you prefer, young or old? Just whatever you want to draw, but sure, that'd be fun. Thank you, buddy. Thanks for the super chat. Grave Doll says, Jaffe, take this $5 CAD. I don't know what CAD is. Get yourself a coffee. Thank you, sir. Oh, I don't know what it means, but thank you, Grave. I appreciate it very, very much. And then welcome Major Pest to the Died Soda Soldiers, buddy. I appreciate you being here. Morgan says, do you think this will actually clear Jaffe due to possibly being a monopoly? I don't. That's obviously... That's out of my wheelhouse. I don't know what... I do know what constitutes monopoly, but I don't know what creates the specifics of a monopoly for something like a video game company. So it's not like they're preventing Sony from doing business, or Nintendo from doing business, or PCs from doing business. So my guess would be no. And they're not buying, anything that kind of feels like they're buying this weird adjacent type of business that's going to give them control. Like, they're not buying all, the ability to make all the computer chips or something as well. My gut says no. And also my gut also says that, you're talking about two of the biggest companies in entertainment, and one of the biggest companies, sometimes the biggest company in the world. I don't imagine they're walking around making deals and shit without having, gone, is this something that we think we can clear? But let's, I don't know if you're Sony and you're waking up to this shit. Thank you, Alan Fidel, for the sub over there on YouTube. If you're Sony and you're waking up to this shit, I've seen people kind of floating these ideas like, oh, go buy, Ubisoft. They've bagged the lion, man. Xbox has bagged the fucking lion. You get Call of Duty, you get Diablo, you get Hearthstone, you get World of Warcraft, you get Overwatch, you get Destiny. Is that right? Who owns Destiny now? You own. EA has gotten Respawn, so I think you get Destiny now. Right? What are you going to buy? EA? Right. Anthony says EA is the only thing that competes. Candy Crush, you get all that too. That's where, Crash and Spyro from just a sort of a core gamer sense. Destiny's Bungie now. It went back to Bungie. Okay. But Jesus fucking Christ. Oh, you get Apex Legends, right? Jesus fucking Christ, man. So I'm sorry. I have a PC. I have an Xbox S. I have a X. I have a PS5. I have a Switch. I don't have a dog in the fight other than, what the fuck? I don't know if Sony can come back from this. Wait, Apex is EA. What was the one that fucking, God damn it, I sound like Indiana Black. I'm going on 3 goddamn hours of sleep. Fuck you. David Neil Hagen says Sony don't care. If Xbox take out Call of Duty, they lose PS sales, and Sony isn't the one spending $80 billion in a year to compete. Sony don't have a problem. Sony has as much of a problem as you have with the English language, sir. I assure you, this is a problem. This is a big fucking problem for Sony. Because
Don't touch me there.
imagine the number one game. I mean, you forget Warzone for a minute. The number one game on the planet has been historically Call of Duty. Vanguard shit the bed a little bit, but it still sold bucket loads, right? Certainly compared to anything else this Christmas. Maybe FIFA, and you know what I'm saying. Imagine, at first I was like, well, if it's like this, at first I was like, okay, well, they're going to make Call of Duty exclusive. Or they're not. Either way, they win. Call of Duty's exclusive. You can only get it on Xbox. And you get it day one fucking free on Game fucking Pass. Think about that. Call of fucking Duty. Call of Cock-a-Doodie fucking Duty is $70 on PlayStation. And it's fucking free on Xbox. Or they just say, no, it's not even going to be on PlayStation. It's just on Xbox. I mean, this is Sony. If I'm Sony at this point, I mean, you can't get out of the hardware business with the PlayStation. I'm not like, oh, just go be a developer. No. But at this point, it almost creates this weird niche for Sony, right? Because you're still making the best hardware on the planet. You're still making the best, depending on the genre, certainly narrative games, the best games on the planet of a certain type. You're not going anywhere, but I don't know how you compete. You almost become like this boutique hardware system, right? I mean, I know that sounds crazy, and if you're a Sony fanboy, you're like, you fucking moron, they're way ahead of Xbox. I know, but the market isn't you. The market isn't these small niche core gamers. The market is massive, and that most of the market in that massive space is filled with casuals. Not casuals like soccer moms, but you know what I mean. They buy a couple of games a year. I don't know what you do. Let me go to some of the chat. Thank you so much, Mo. Mo comes in with a super chat. He says, before you ask, 50 AED is $13. Thank you, sir. Do you think AED is Middle East, right? Arab Emirate? Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Do you think this will make Game Pass the only platform and thus death to indies who don't play nice with Microsoft, as people will not buy games anymore? No. Oh, no. Here's what I absolutely think. I think we are now getting into a level of size and scale that there will absolutely be competition. It's not going to only be Microsoft. That's ridiculous. There's always competition. But we're getting to a level of scale now that, I mean, it's vulgar in a lot of ways, and it's not necessarily healthy. The news is exciting, but at the same time, it's a little fucking weird. It's a little fucking weird that the only people who can play in this space now, I mean, Sony can probably not play in this space as is now, not at the level that Microsoft is. Now you are talking about the Tencents of the world, the Microsofts of the world, the Apples of the world. I mean, they have stepped up to what it means to be a video game publisher, hardware owner, or what have you. So I absolutely have no idea. I mean, part of this chat is me getting my thoughts together. So if you've come here for like really great, oh yeah, Jaffe's got to figure, I don't fucking know. I mean, this is just, I just woke up and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Brap, there's my buddy over at Brap. He says, Jaffe, does Call of Duty become an exclusive to Xbox? Does Microsoft pull the rug from millions of Call of Duty gamers not on Xbox? Well, there's no way to know that right now, right? Minecraft, they handled brilliantly. Many could argue that Call of Duty is as big of a brand, if not, it's not as big as Minecraft, but it's pretty fucking big. It's close. And they let Minecraft just be everywhere, and they just reap the rewards, right? But with Game Pass, it's not just the fact that they might be able to reap the financial rewards from Sony. It is a wet, nasty, greasy fart in the face to Sony every time you sit there and go, I'm going to spend $70 again on Call of Duty, or I'm going to spend $70 again. I don't know what else they put out anymore in terms of Activision. I know Blizzard, or Diablo 4 is coming out, or whatever the fuck it is. Is it 4? Yeah, 4 is coming out. I'm going to spend $70 on that. Nah, or I'll just play it day one for fucking free on Game Pass. I don't know how you deal with that. Slavish Darfield, thanks for subbing, buddy. I don't even like Call of Duty, but only Black Ops, so I could care less. You couldn't care less, I think you mean. But that said, though, Chip, it's less about Call of Duty being something you care about playing and more about going, you know, this is like plate tectonics, right? When I said in my tweet, this is seismic. This is I don't know. I don't know how you recover from this if you're Sony. Yeah, there you go. Richard Austin, thank you. He says PlayStation is fine. They have the twisted reboot. Sony can easily make better shooters. I say leave the ugly shooter fans on Xbox, says Fupy. Yeah, I know. But I mean, you know, yeah, there's an interesting one. Sony buys Take-Two for $100 million. I don't think so, you guys. I think maybe Sony comes around and buys a Capcom, which would be a great get. Or maybe, you know, but Sony can't. I mean, when you're starting to talk about the remaining people on the board that would really move the needle, I don't think Sony's the company. I mean, I guess they could take out loans and shit, but to buy Take-Two that just bought Zynga for how much was the Zynga deal? $12 billion. They're going to turn around. I mean, I don't know how realistic that is, but I mean, I don't have their, you know, their ledger. I'm from 1930. I don't have their ledger in front of me, but I mean, that's, you know, you're now getting into the world where you've got to be, like I said, Apple, you've got to be Tencent, you've got to be Xbox. Is that healthy? I don't fucking know. I mean, honestly, games, you know, indie games aren't going away. Creativity in games are not going away. If you only play console, let's assume you're only a console player. If you're only a console player, this will absolutely affect you. For me, because I play across the spectrum, if it turns out that this just becomes so boring and so conservative, I'll just retreat into the PC space and play crazy shit. But you know, to Xbox's credit, they haven't really gone down that road yet. A lot of people were always worried about Game Pass, but making everything just like free-to-play landscape. But so far, they're green-lighting Tim Schafer stuff and Brian Fargo's stuff and very weird artistic stuff as well as the big commercial bets. So I don't. Let's just. I mean, I'm not worried about that right now. Joe Munger says Xbox is Microsoft at this point, not Windows. I don't even know how true that is. But think about that. You're absolutely right that these things get day one free, not just on Xbox, but on Windows, on PC for Game Pass for PC. So now you're dealing with Microsoft's making money for PCs, for Windows, and then you get Xbox Game Pass for Windows, or you're making it for your fucking console. I wonder if it does become monopoly if suddenly they go into making TVs that will start streaming this shit. I have no idea. Amazon could compete. Amazon, out of all these, you know, I think Amazon goes in and says, maybe, I mean, can you imagine the clusterfuck it would be? We're going to go in and we're going to buy PlayStation. I know. I'm just saying that that's the scale we're talking about. So I was just about to buy Call of Duty today, waiting for all the Call of Duties to land on Game Pass, says Langston. Well, I don't think this is going to be in effect for quite some time, right? I mean, this is going to take some time. I'm laughing at Rob the Mod over there. He said, "Oh, it's not Rob. There's a guy in the Discord named Richard Austin who looks just like fucking Rob the Mod." It's a scam, likely. Fuck you. It's Bobby Kotick calling, saying, "Get me out of here." No way, fucker. 2023. Kinge Jammo of the Vermont Jammos says, "Hey, why do you keep saying day one for free? Don't come at me, motherfucker. Don't come at old man Jaffe. You know exactly what I mean. It's free. It's free. You know good and goddamn well what I'm talking about. You know good and goddamn well, Kinge, what I'm talking about. It's figuratively free. It's metaphorically free. Yes, everybody. No one thinks Xbox comes out of your butthole. Xbox Game Pass. We get it. You pay a monthly fee. But come on, man. You know exactly. Do you really sit around and think about, oh shit, do I want to subscribe again this month to Netflix? No, it goes on to your fucking auto renewal, and you don't fucking think about it. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Rosington, thank you so much, Phil Stry. I very much appreciate the sub. But Yeah, I don't. I mean, seriously, if you're out there and you are a primary Sony fan, and I mean, look, I made my career with Sony. I'm not anti-Sony. I'm not a fanboy either way. I just love video games. But if you're one of these guys that lives and breathes and dies by Sony, I mean, how do you respond to this? And by the way, the phone lines are open on the Discord if you want to call and get your thoughts, which I would love because, like I said, this is not a normal show. I've done no prep for this show. This just dropped, and my mind is reeling from what this means. I think you're underestimating Sony, says Uwu, if you don't think they have many killer tricks up their sleeves they haven't revealed. Spider-Man 2 alone is arguably bigger than anything Xbox has. No, it's not. I love you, Uwu, but no, it's not. No, it's fucking not. I mean, Spider-Man 2 is massive. Are you kidding me? Wolverine is massive. Are you kidding me? There's no fucking doubt. There's zero doubt that, I mean, Sony's a fucking powerhouse. No one's doubting that. But to suggest that Spider-Man, which on PS4 and 5, I think has done like 26 million by now or something, is equivalent to Call of Duty, Overwatch, World of Warcraft. Come on, man. Not even true. Not even true. But, Fupy, you're right. Fupy says Bezos is beautiful. He would look great next to Jim Ryan and Herman Hulst. No! I mean, I don't like this. I think there's something, like I said, vulgar about it. But, you know, at the same time, we made this monster, right? We wanted bigger, not we, but I was always whatever. But a lot of people made this monster, gamers. Better graphics, better sound. It's not your fault. It's not no one's fault. Of course you're going to want bigger and better and prettier. Well, the cost goes up, and people get shut out of the playground. Only the rich kids can play. John Flattery, thank you, buddy. He says, congrats on 1,000K watching. I predict Sony leans more into VR now. They got to move the medium forward while Microsoft leans in to microtransactions. You guys got to stop with that shit. You guys got to stop with that shit accusing I mean, again, the minute Xbox becomes, or Game Pass becomes, a wasteland of microtransactions is the minute I walk away, is the minute a lot of people walk away. The idea that it's like they own you, you know, the minute the game, what you think, if you like Disney Plus, but let's say a lot of people I've talked to don't like Book of Boba Fett. If Disney Plus's shows all become as shitty, according to most, as Book of Boba Fett, they're done. It doesn't matter what they have. People will walk away, right? You can cancel at any time. All right, let me bring in, let me get this super chat. Well, I mean, all the subs, I'm not going to call you out, but thank you. I usually call out the new subs, and I appreciate it, but I'm not going to be able to do that. What a wonderful problem to have, that people are like, oh, you have too many fucking people subbing. But I got a lot of calls on the chat, and I want to bring some people in to talk and see what they think. Let me turn that down real quick if I can. But thank you, all the new subs. I really appreciate it. Thanks, fellas, and Filettis. Well, let's bring in some talkers first. Yorch, it's Jaffe. Oh, my goodness gracious. Are you there, man?
Hey, Jaffe, just talking to the guys.
What's going on? So, look, what do you think about this?
I think it's crazy, man. It's, you know, people are, I don't think everybody's aware of how this can impact, you know, I don't know. It could be going in so many different ways, right?
Yeah.
Just saying. But yeah, I think it's crazy. Some people are saying that 70,000 was probably cheap because of all the social backlash they were having and all that stuff. I don't think I agree with that.
No,
I don't think I agree.
I think you're right. I don't think here, I'm turning all this shit down 1 second. I think you're right. I think the idea that the social, look, we know the social backlash didn't matter. You know how we know it didn't matter? Because Bobby Kotick's still there. And we know, although see, this is the weird part. This didn't leak. So it's not as if it's not as if the stockholders knew this was coming and were like, you know what, let's give Bobby a break because he's going to be gone after the transition, and it'll make this deal smoother. If we get rid of him now, we may blow a windfall of cash. I mean, we literally yesterday, there was a group in, I think, England that owns like 0.6% of the Activision Blizzard stock, and they were saying, we want Bobby Kotick to go on temporary leave while a third party comes in. So as of yesterday, the shareholders were still under the impression that nothing like this was about to happen. So I don't think that's what it is. I don't think suddenly they became vulnerable to acquisition because Bobby Kotick, is a shitty fucking human. I think it has nothing to do with that. I think it has to do with, I don't know. What is Phil Spencer? Is Phil Spencer Thanos? I mean, like, what the fuck? I mean, seriously, what the fuck is this man like? Is he just like, did he get picked on as a kid and he's like, I'm gonna fucking get mine? Like, what, you know what I mean? What is it that is driving this man other than, I can't imagine. I can't fucking imagine.
Dude, I was just rewatching some of the podcasts because I sometimes have to catch up. I can't keep up, man. I love to keep up with the content you produce every day and stuff, but I can't. And I was just listening to one of the podcasts where you were talking about, when Phil was saying that, they did not agree with what was going on Activision, all that stuff,
Right.
when they made public announcement, all that stuff, and then suddenly you turn around and you say, you know what, let's buy this and fix this or whatever.
Right. I mean, listen, this motherfucker, Phil Spencer. I mean, again, no one's perfect, and I certainly don't think Phil Spencer's perfect. The motherfucker launched his console without any software, but he's certainly making it up for it now. But you're absolutely right. When he came out the other day and said, oh, I think it was Kira Swisher on her podcast. She's like, well, why don't you publicly tell us what you're doing to Activision? You said you were going to hold them accountable and change your relationship with them. It's like, motherfucker, I did change our relationship. I bought the motherfuckers. I mean, think about that. Think about that.
Yeah.
That motherfucker's getting laid tonight. You know he is. His wife is like, God damn. His wife is like, she's like, put on the Jesus costume, Phil. Oh, baby, you goddamn right. Let's go. I mean, right? There's no fucking way. That is a ballsy fucking move. So, all right, buddy. I appreciate you calling. Thanks so much, buddy.
Thank you, man. Thank you, man.
All right, let me get some super chats. Phil comes out on stage in Levi Wranglers and a blazer and is still winning. I'm telling you. What is the word they use? That Sharon fraud? I love how upset people get about Xbox and Sony and all that, because I'm just like, unless you're 12, it's like, dude, save your fucking money up and buy both. Be a fucking gamer first. Don't be a fucking console warrior first. That's stupid, right? So I just enjoy how upset people get. So I can't wait to lurk on one of these fucking, Sony rah-rah fuck you Xbox streams today and just go like, how do they explain it? There's got to be people in the chat. Where's our buddy Brian King? Yeah, there he is. Brian King, who I love, is one of the most hardest core PlayStation fans. The guy gets banned all the time on NeoGAF. I think because he's always, I don't know why. He's a good dude. Very good dude. But yeah, you're saying it's disgusting celebrating this. I mean, if you're talking about celebrating the massive corporate capitalistic buy everything, you're right. I mean, fundamentally, you're right. Xbox puts a good face on with Phil and all those guys and Bonnie and all that shit. Is Bonnie still there? But you know what I mean? The people who run they're very good at coming out and making you feel like, oh, they're gamers and all this shit. But you're not. So, it feels like this is a safe acquisition, but you're not wrong. Like, for gamers, safe meaning it's safe, like it's not as offensive. It's not like Mr. Potter from It's a Wonderful Life just buying up everything. It's, but it's a big fucking deal, and it takes some people off the table, but I mean, what are you going to do, right? I mean, maybe it'll be like Disney. I mean, I know nobody agrees, but I think Disney buying Marvel was the best thing that ever happened to Marvel. That could happen here. I know I don't spend my money on Activision games anymore. The only Activision games I've played in the last 2 years, since I started hearing about Bobby Kotick and China and all this shit, and then Bobby Kotick and his employees, is a buddy of mine sends me codes who works there. I don't give him my money anymore. So maybe it'll be really good for him. Like Bob Iger coming in and, getting Star Wars. I know. Getting Pixar, which was a big fucking deal. And getting Marvel, I mean, that, a lot of people would say that really helped him out. Let me get these super chats, and I'm going to bring in some phone calls. Mr. Dave says, Res Pergu. What are your predictions? Who will win the console wars? I mean, if it keeps going this way, if it keeps going this way, my guess is Microsoft. I mean, how could they not? Assuming nothing changes other than the price of Game Pass Ultimate and Game Pass, which you know it will, buckle up. But assuming nothing changes, the proposition is a PC that you already own, an Xbox S or X, or if you happen to be close enough to the server farm and have decent internet, not amazing, just decent enough internet, just to fucking stick in your smart TV, then how do you, if you can only choose one, how do you choose Sony? I know, yes, Last of Us 3, Uncharted 5, God of War Ragnarok, there's no doubt that if that's your bread and butter as a gamer, you can only choose one, you should choose Sony because they make the best of those kind of games on the planet. But so far, the jury remains out on anything else other than, MLB is phenomenal. I don't want to paint them like that's all they make. That's clearly not true. But if you're looking for breadth and value, and you don't have a dog in the fight, like you're not like, I don't give a fuck, I'm just a gamer, I just want to buy some shit and have fun with my friends. You don't think about it like, oh, you don't even know who Phil Spencer is. You don't know who Jim Ryan is. I think you absolutely walk into a store or a digital storefront and go, Call of Duty's free, Starfield's free, Elder Scrolls 6 is free. I know it bugs some of you, but there you go. That's free. The new Diablo, World of Warcraft. I mean, come on, man. I mean, I don't know how Sony wins this. I don't know how they recover from this unless they've just built up such a head of steam that this is going to be a big fight now, and they're going to get their ass handed to them next generation, unless they can counterpunch. But how do you counter? I'd love to know if someone's got an idea on how they can counterpunch this. And yet Nintendo isn't affected by this. Thank you so much, Woodens, for the super chat. They're only gaming company that isn't worried. I think that's true because they kind of go after a very different audience. That's not true. A lot of us who watch things like this and do things like this, we play everything. But yeah, they've always managed to be sort of outside of this particular fight, and at least at the moment, I don't think that would change. Do you think that would change? Mr. Dave, what are your predictions? I already did that one. Adam Blue, hey buddy, he says here's some support. Appreciate the live stream. No, my mind is reeling, man. I had to talk to someone. My therapist, he said, that's not what we talk about. I don't really care. I'm like, but you're my therapist. He's like, I'll charge you. I'll take your $280 fucking bucks an hour, you fucking moron. But all it's going to teach me is I haven't done any lick of good with you. Because if you're going to come in here and pay $280 to talk about Activision being acquired by Xbox, you're as stupid as I thought you were. So that's why I'm here. But I appreciate you guys being here with me and helping me navigate these troubled times. Microsoft is trying to kill PlayStation, says Alekis. Ellen Chuss. I don't know, lady. Returns. Microsoft is not trying to kill PlayStation. If Microsoft wanted to do that, all they have to do is buy EA and make Madden and FIFA exclusive. Okay, well, this is all this cryptic bullshit, though, that a lot of fans use. I appreciate the super chat. I really, really do. Let me see if I can put it up on the screen so people can see the verbal gymnastics you're playing with. Let me fucking show you this, because I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You're saying, hang on, I'm looking for it. I apologize, fellas. Hey, there's Jojo D. Jojo D says Activision has yearly releases of certain games. Microsoft will see releases soon. After that, the actual acquisition will be a game changer. Yeah, listen to me. I'm going to get back to that super chat from Returns. 1 second. I mean, seriously, let's just take it from the Game Pass position for a minute. You guys don't know. You might know. I don't fucking know what you know, but listen to me. So imagine the cadence that now gets funneled into Game Pass, right? What I mean by that is, like, the coolest thing about Netflix or HBO Max, I know some of you guys don't like the subservices. Sorry, welcome to the future, right? All the hardcores, you'll still be able to probably buy your physical games. Limited Run is probably going to become a bigger fucking company because, you know, there is going to be a need for physical and that will be served and on and on and on. And I think that's great. Those guys are awesome over there. But HBO Max and Amazon, I love the fact that every week I get new shit to watch, right? I've never heard of this. What's this? I'm trying different things and all that. Now Xbox with this acquisition, even now, I don't know if you guys saw, but they announced the first half of January or February just came out for Xbox. None of their first party stuff, just brand new stuff, and Hitman 1 through 3 is all coming the 20th in 2 days to Game Pass. That there are 23, 24 first party games that are coming. Then you throw in now the goddamn Activision games that are coming. Come on, man. Come on. I thought we would never see Crash Bandicoot again. We'll fucking see Crash Bandicoot. I hope to fucking good God that Activision or Xbox now goes straight up to the offices at Toys for Bob and says, you guys made Crash Bandicoot. I know it's sacrilegious, but their Crash Bandicoot 4 was honestly better than any Crash Bandicoot before. Make another one now. Because now the Game Pass model kind of makes sense. Your big release for fucking, March 2025 or 24 or whatever is a new Crash. That's a big deal, right? I absolutely think that you're going to be getting this shit dropping so much more frequently that you're not going to, it's a fire hose of content. You are not going to be able to compete if all you're doing is, hey, don't worry, PlayStation fans, wait a little bit longer. We just extended Horizon 3 because we give our teams the time they need to make this art. But don't worry, it's coming. And then you get 2 to 3 releases a year? That's great, but that does not a system make, right? I mean, it does, but... all right, I want to get back to this Returnal. I'll go to the chat in just 1 second, the audio, the call-ins. You're basically saying, I can't find your chat, but I have it here. Microsoft, and thank you for that. Microsoft is not trying to kill PlayStation. If Microsoft wanted to do that, all they would have to do is buy EA and make Madden and FIFA exclusive. Okay, maybe. I mean, I don't. It's an interesting point. If they're going out there and spending this kind of money, what causes them to target Call of Duty versus EA? My guess would be the breadth of content. Although you have a lot of IP you could get from EA that's not top tier, but it's still pretty fucking good. But it's your last sentence that throws me. The last sentence is Microsoft is playing a different game. I appreciate the super chat, and you paid for me to talk about that. And but what? That's just cryptic for no. I mean, you don't have a follow-up sentence. So what game are they playing? They're not trying to kill PlayStation? I mean, I don't think anybody actually wants anyone to lose their jobs or anything, but when I was in the industry, we competed like motherfuckers, but you always got sad when anyone you heard of layoffs or anything like that, whether it was from a competitor or a team that was working with PlayStation. It was always really sad because you could imagine yourself in their shoes and you knew it was the real deal. But I don't know what different kind of game you think they're playing. Victor Allison, thank you. He says Xbox just bought the bank. If they can spend this much, they can spend to get Disney IPs or MCU IPs. To imagine they are still out shopping for more. What I wonder is, what are the meetings with Phil Spencer and the head of Xbox, who I think is the guy that he answers to? What are those fucking meetings like? Right? Do they just sit there and go, dude, we really have no spending limit? And Phil's like, no. He's like, no. It's like those fucking shopping sprees that you could win at Toys R Us as a kid. He's like, just go. I'm going out of town. I'm not even looking. Oh, no, Phil Spencer stole the checkbook. Oh, no, you rapscallion. You're right. You're buying all these companies. You knucklehead. You spent too much. Oh, I mean, what is his limit? Does somebody, is it like, his boss? I can't pronounce his name. He's the guy who runs Microsoft. Does he just say, look, if you're going to go over... what, 100 billion? I need to sign off. Otherwise, have fun. I'm going golfing. I mean, I have no idea. All right, let me bring in Shaft. Shaft, it's Jaffe. What's up, man?
Hey, Jaffe. My name is Eugene. I'm with lordsofgaming.net. I've had a couple of cups of coffee this morning, and I've read all the articles, so I figured I would just come in and get you caught up with some of the...
please get me caught up. I heard Bobby Kotick sent out an email company-wide. Is that true?
Yeah, he plans on staying on through the foreseeable future.
I bet he
which
does.
Is going to be yeah, it's going to be problematic for them, and I'm sure Phil's going to kick him out
Oh yeah.
um, next year. But Wall Street Journal is reporting that the deal won't be able to close until the fiscal year of 2023, which is a year and a half from now. So Bobby's going to be there, and you talked about it. You talked about their kind of how they had Toys for Bob work on Call of Duty, and Vicarious Visions is not even mentioned in the press release because they have been absorbed into
Call of Duty.
Blizzard as a Diablo. They're working on Diablo.
Oh,
4.
Vicarious, but Toys for Bob's working
Yeah.
on Call of Duty, right?
Right, but Toys for Bob is actually mentioned in the press release where Vicarious is not. So the total number of Xbox studios is going to be 31. Does that counts Toys for Bob, does not count Vicarious Visions. So over the next year and a half, you have
Wait,
two
I just
companies.
want to be clear. The total number of studios when they acquire Activision Blizzard will be 31. It goes from 23 to 31.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so you have two companies going entirely different directions. They're going to be pouring a lot of their resources into Diablo and into Call of Duty in terms of Toys for Bob, Vicarious Visions, and all these support studios and what have you. Where you touched on, you would have Toys for Bob work on Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen over the next year and a half? Legally speaking, Microsoft can't get involved and make decisions until this deal is done. But what I found really interesting was like, Bethesda had all those deals with PlayStation, but after those deals were done, they set themselves on a course to be a partner of Xbox. A lot of their games started coming to Game Pass before the deal was finished.
Right.
There was no more deals made. They did not sign Starfield to be a PlayStation game when they really could have, and it would have been in the best interest of the company to make Starfield a PlayStation and an Xbox game. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens over the next year and a half.
I don't know if it would have been an interest of the company to make it multi-platform. In the short term, you're right, but if they're trying to build subscriptions, they could have easily looked at it and said, well, what's in better interest of the company is to drive subscriptions to Game Pass, and we're going to do that more if we have it exclusive.
I meant that in the sense of before Bethesda was acquired by Microsoft, like before that was official, it would have been in Bethesda's best interest to make that game across all platforms.
They might have been, and they maybe canceled it. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if there was a PlayStation Starfield in production at some point.
If Phil did say he wasn't going to cancel any games that were in agreements,
come on, who cares what Phil said? I said we weren't making a new Twisted Metal, and there you go. So I don't worry about that. But okay, well, let me ask you this. So what else? Yeah, you said Schreier's reporting what?
Schreier's reporting that he believes that the federal government's going to get involved and step in and be harder on them in terms of this being a monopoly as opposed to how they were with the Bethesda acquisition.
Why?
And there was a couple of other tech people on MSNBC that thought the government might step in. The tech acquisitions are kind of getting out of hand, but a lot of people seem to believe that this is going to go through. It's just going to take a year and a half.
Yeah, but are you saying most people think it'll take some time, but it will go through, or is Schreier's view kind of what people are saying elsewhere, which is this is going to be some kind of Elizabeth Warren steps in and says no fucking way?
He thinks that people are going to step in and speak up, and it's going to be a challenge. But inevitably, he didn't say inevitably it will go through. But MSNBC, their finance people said that it's going to be a challenge to get through the government, but inevitably it should go through.
Right. What do you think? If you're Sony at this point, I mean, that is the most interesting news to wake up to. If you're Scott Rhodey and Jim Ryan and Herman Holst and everybody there, I mean, what do you think? Like, I don't think if this goes through, and obviously it's going to take some time to yield the fruit, but once this goes through and once it starts working, can Sony as is compete with this? If they just stay the course, is there a way to compete with this?
So you would know more about this than I would, because the question I have for you is maybe you know something. I heard that a couple of games were canceled during the last regime that were like Destiny, that were like Call of Duty, and Sony wanted to keep their partnerships with Activision and these other people they're working with tight. So they canceled first-person shooters. They canceled action RPGs that were like Destiny. Maybe you know something on that I don't, but that it appears to be a big misstep. I believe that they're going to eventually have something from Haven, the studio
right.
from
Jade
in Canada. Yeah, Jade in Canada, and I think they're going to have something in terms of this Rainbow Six game, or the Rainbow Six director going to
Guerrilla.
Guerrilla.
Yep.
God, you hope that he's not working on this VR Horizon game.
No,
And
that's being worked on right by the, what are they called, the Fire Sprite guys? Or,
Fire Sprite, Fire Sprite, who I thought was working on an action RPG shooter. They're working on this VR game. And then there's another second party partnership that is working on a shooter of some kind. So they need to start getting shooters in the pipeline. They need to start getting big, massive open world RPGs in the pipeline.
Well, to their credit, I mean, they are trying. I do agree with you about the Rainbow Six director with Guerrilla. I think that's going to be some kind of free to play shooter. Twisted Metal is probably not that. I think Twisted Metal is niche. I don't think Twisted Metal can go head to head with these big brands anymore. But that could probably be free to play. But I mean, ultimately, though, you're still talking about what makes Sony magical is they take their time, right? It's quality, not quantity. And given that, here's my question to you, or here's my question to anybody watching is. So, and I've compared it this way, and I think the comparison is still very apropos, if not more so. I've always said, like, Sony is like fine dining, like at a fine steakhouse, and Xbox is like McDonald's, right? And I like McDonald's, and I don't like fine dining is the Olive Garden to me. I'm from Alabama, but fuck you. But anyway, I wonder about, can you compete with McDonald's now? Like, McDonald's has just gotten huge. It's gotten the most popular fucking, to destroy the metaphor even, it's gotten the most popular fucking burger in the world now with Call of Duty. And a bunch of other things that are really popular. Can you still compete playing the game Sony's been playing, which is like, it takes time, we're moving it up a couple of months, and, Barlog needs more time, and Druckmann needs a little bit more time. I mean, is that sustainable now based on this change that has happened when we woke up this morning?
What I think a lot of people are going to say Sony needs to acquire Capcom, or Sony needs to acquire Square, or Sony needs to acquire Sega. You're going to have a lot of that over the next 90 days. And I honestly did not believe that a publicly traded company being acquired like this was really on the table until Microsoft did it. And I don't know if Sony's got the power to go in and do like a hostile takeover almost. This was not really that much of a hostile takeover because the company was collapsing from within. And I'm sure a lot of people internally are really happy about this acquisition. I don't know how that's going to play out with a company like a Square or a Capcom or a Sega. I don't think that's on the table. But me personally, what I would do is a bunch of smaller things. There's a company called First Contact Entertainment. They made Firewall Zero Hour with the. And
a buddy of mine worked on that. Yeah.
Yeah, did you like that game?
I didn't play it because there's too many fucking wires on the PSVR. Once I got my once I got my Oculus, I stopped using the PSVR. I love the games on PSVR, but it's too much of a fucking pain in the ass.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite shooters that are exclusive to PlayStation. I think that, me personally, I would buy them before Facebook does, and I would give them a VR spin-off SOCOM game. And I would do that 2 years ago. You could do little things like that. I would do a lot of little things like that, but I don't know what Sony can do to compete with this. It sounds like Warzone's going to stay, but overall they're going to lose Call of Duty. They do have 2 years to come up with something, but they have to come up with something.
Well, or someone. I mean, honestly, like I was saying earlier, I don't know if you were watching, but it's like I never thought I'd see the day when a company as big as Sony, in this world that they really were key to establishing after Nintendo and Sega, would be like, you're too small to play in this. If you're not Amazon, if you're not Apple, I mean, it almost feels like Apple's going to come in and buy Sony at this point. Because I don't think Sony can play on this playing field anymore. It's gone from college football to the NFL, and they don't have the money to go to the NFL.
Do you know anything about them canceling games last generation that were like Destiny, that were like Call of Duty?
I've never heard. I know some of the games that were canceled, but by that time I was out of the company, and so I would have heard some stuff. But let's put it this way. If there are really good games being made at Sony, I have never seen them cancel. Again, things are different under Jim Ryan than Sean Layden and before that shoe, but I have never seen Sony go, we're going to just fucking cancel shit to satisfy Activision. That's never been what they do, but that doesn't mean that's not what Jim Ryan does. But I've never seen anything like that. And I can't imagine a team going, we made something that everybody loves. Oh, we're going to cancel it just so we can own a new IP. There's no way. I don't. It doesn't sound realistic. But okay. You may have heard something I haven't heard, of course.
Well, did you know what? Maybe you can't say, but did you know what the canceled Sony Santa Monica game was that they were
Oh yeah,
working on before they went full bore and God of War?
yeah, I did. But that, I mean, that was a PS4 title,
Yeah.
and it was I mean, I know people compared it to Destiny. I mean that title had a lot of cool ambitions and a lot of cool concept art and a lot of talent behind it. I don't know if that was ever going to actually get off the ground. So I don't think they looked at it and said, let's cancel. I think it was called something Earth, about the Earth spinning, Darksiders or something. I know it's already a title, but it was about the Earth stopping spinning and part of the Earth is covered in perpetual night. And it was a big online component. I don't think, I mean, that thing was so ambitious. I don't think they ever were looking at that, and saying, let's cancel this to make Activision happy. They canceled it because it was so ambitious and it wasn't working, is what I understand.
And before I bounce, just a
Yep.
few final notes on the deal.
Yep.
Microsoft bought them at $95 a share. I don't know who is selling. Maybe it's not everyone that's selling. It sounds like they're buying Kotick's 51% at $95 a share. I can't quite tell. But that's 45% more than it was trading yesterday, and it's soaring today. It's almost back to where it was at the $100 before all the assault allegations. So I'm sure everyone.
Think about that though. The big bad Bobby Kotick is going to get fucking even richer off this fucking deal. As long as the guy's gone. But what does that say about our fucking world? That's pretty shitty, man.
He's going to remain in control, and I'm sure Phil will take him down in a year and a half. But he's going to remain in control for at least a year and a half, and he made $100 million today.
Amazing. What a dick. What a dick. This is not a fair world. All right, buddy. Thanks for calling. I appreciate the education on this. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Well, there he goes. That's some good, not good news, but it's good news. It's good data. Thank you, sir. Ricardo Estevez of the Vermont and Connecticut Estevezes. If you've ever tried Ricardo Estevez syrup, this is the man who makes it from his own sweat, literally. Sony will agree to get Game Pass on PlayStation. Ricardo is a journalist as well. As the only way to get the Xbox games, Microsoft kills the Xbox and Game Pass becomes the focus, developing for PC, cloud, and PS. I mean, why? Why would they need to do that? I mean, so you're saying that you think even with this move, Sony has enough of a lead in hardware sales and branding that Xbox would rather go onto their system. I mean, it's interesting. They pull themselves out of the market. They get to be on Sony. So they're not competing with Sony for hardware anymore. I mean, kind of interesting. Kind of interesting. Dwight Dixon says Sony will be fine. I haven't skipped anybody's super chats. I'm just there's a lot of them, which I'm appreciative of, Luca. But I got to take them in various. Excuse me, you guys, in various orders. That's an interesting idea, though. But Sony will be fine, Dwight Dixon. I don't know. I don't know why you say. I mean, they'll be fine. No one's dying or anything, but Okay, let me get some super chats. Xbox. Okay, so this is Zid super chatting. Thank you, sir. He says the social backlash mattered because the stock was cut in half before Microsoft made the bid. It likely saved Microsoft 50 to 70 billion. That's interesting. Okay, well, you may be right. I did not know that. I did not know that the stock went down because it was attributed to the backlash. I know that there were some shareholders yesterday that came out and said, hey, you guys need to put Kotick on temporary leave or we're going to start talking to other stockholders about getting our money out, But other than that, I had not heard that. But that's a wonderful point. If that's what happened, can you imagine? I mean, think about that for a minute. If that's what happened, Zid, that Bobby Kotick's poor leadership is ultimately what did kick him out of his own company. Yeah, he made a lot of money getting kicked out of his own company. But if his shitty leadership tanked the stock to the point that Microsoft finally said, that's it, go get it, because it's affordable for us now, or that falls underneath the threshold of what we were willing to spend, it's not great karma, but it's a little karma. At least the guy kind of made his own fucking bed. I heard from a news site that the top 3 game companies are Microsoft, Tencent, and Sony. Sony needs to buy Take-Two and Rockstar to make GTA a PS exclusive, says Game Dad. Okay, well, I mean, I don't know about that. I definitely know in terms of there was a thing recently that said like Sony makes the most money in video games or something. Look, here's what I'll tell you. If Sony has the money to acquire companies like that, why haven't they yet? Maybe you could say, well, because they haven't needed to, or they don't have the money, right? So I mean, it's like, what when Xbox bought Bethesda, Sony didn't think maybe now's the time to go out and counterpunch. I mean, there was some reason they didn't do shit. Like they bought, they signed a couple deals with some smaller new developers, and they signed a deal with or they acquired Firesprite or whatever they're called. That was their response. I don't know if they can afford Take-Two. Take-Two literally just dropped $12 billion on Zynga. It just, whether it's they can't afford it or they can afford it, but it's not in their DNA, I don't know. But I'll tell you what, it better fucking get in their DNA, because this is the game now. It's like, I mean, it's like one of those fucking, feel good movies where the guy is like, doesn't want to play dirty because he's the hero, and everybody else around him is playing dirty, and then finally going into the third act, he realizes something he can do that allows him to stay true to himself, but still kick the shit out of the bad guy. I mean, that's what Sony fucking needs. I don't want them to have to play dirty, but the game has changed, and it's almost like they're just like, ooh, hey, look, Horizon, hey, look, there's the God of War. You can, you have a cooler axe. Cool. I mean, I love Eric Williams. I'm not mocking God of War. I'm mocking management at a level of going, guys, what are you doing? You got to get in there, man. This is from Mo. Both Forza, thank you, buddy. Both Forza and Halo had plans for aggressive microtransactions until pushback. You said the other day that you stopped playing Halo because of progression. Well, I played all of the campaign in Halo, and I adored it, and I've loved the multiplayer. I've stopped playing Halo Infinite mostly because I'm waiting for new maps. They announced the other day a new kind of thing where you can get these cool virtual holographic mohawks and shit. It's kind of like a cyberpunk kind of flavor. I'm going to go back and play for that, but honestly, it was just lack of content. The progression at first did bother me, but they have improved that. By the way, says Kinge, I'm fanboying out right now. David Jaffe, you're my favorite game dev. I don't know why I haven't been on your channel. Because you're a goddamn whore, sir. What if I was serious about that? What if Kinge, listen to me. That's terrible. I got to get better at that. There are people, including myself, I'm neurodivergent, but there are people who are neurodivergent that would seriously think I'm being serious about that. So Kinge, I love you. I'll take you to the prom. My dad says we can have the car. I apologize, sir. But thank you so much for the super chat and being here with us. Let me bring in Rich Austin, who the only reason he hasn't come in sooner is he looks just like Rob the fucking mod. I'm like, Rob, are you managing the chat? But this is his own he's his own man, fellas. Rich Austin is here. Rich Austin, how you doing? Where'd you go, Rich? Come on now. Rich Austin, are you there?
Hello, Jaffe.
Well, hello, sir. How are you?
I'm the British Rob the Mod. I'm doing well.
Hello, Governor. Look what I've got. I've got my pipe, and I'm going to go down to the pub, and I'm going to marry Taylor Swift.
No one. There's no British person that says, "Hey up, Governor."
Governor, put a shrimp on the barbie, Governor.
No one says that.
Of course they say that. They say that when Winston Churchill comes to town. It's like, let's get out our best Sunday best, and let's put out the china, and let's put a shrimp on the barbie, and let's talk about,
we're Australian.
I don't fucking know. What's up, man? What do you want to talk about?
I'm good. There's something that you said that I've thought of many times before as well, actually, about Apple buying Sony. I think that would honestly make sense, because if Apple were to buy Sony, they obviously could, because they have the money to, and they're such a big company.
Yes.
And that means that Apple can actually then have a proper entry into gaming, like Microsoft. They can then compete more with the proper big boys and do that. And also that way they then obviously have the money that if Sony did want to buy and retaliate properly with a
Right.
proper publisher, they could then go and buy Square and whatever.
That is the scope, baby. That's the game now. The question becomes, and what's even cooler is I know people that are working on software for the Apple AR VR. Sony obviously is really in on that. I mean, can you fucking imagine?
Exactly.
I mean, that would be I mean, it's I get what some of these people like Brian King in the chat was saying. It's like there's a point where it's like if you take a 30,000 foot view of this, it's horrible. It's horrible that we are sitting here celebrating the coming about of the Blade Runner dystopia that we were all so terrified of. But it's also very exciting if you're into video games to go, what the fuck is happening? But yeah, I mean the Apple thing makes a lot of sense.
I think it makes a lot of sense because Apple, in some ways, and Sony are kind of similar because Sony obviously offering a premium version of like $70 games, £70 games, and then Microsoft saying, here's everything on the subscription. I think they kind of go in hand to hand quite well. And also, like,
$70! Sorry, that wasn't me. That was not me. That was not me. Keep going. I'm listening.
That was Jim.
That was Jim. Keep going.
Could you imagine Jim Ryan today when like midday UK time when the news went live? What was he thinking? I bet he just shat his pants there and then.
Here's what I think was happening. First off, I always imagine Jim Ryan as an old man. He's only 50. He's only like 54 or 50. He's the same age as Phil Spencer. But for some reason, I imagine him as like this, old fucking crotchety dude. But he
like you.
Yeah, he was probably lying. He was probably, getting the pickle tickled from the missus, lying in bed, and she's going up and down, up and down, up and down, and she's like, "Say it again, Jimbo. Say it again." He's like, $70. And then suddenly the news breaks, and it's like, hello, Cal. The news breaks, and suddenly it's like, hello, Governor England, UK. It's me, Austin Powers. Xbox is bought, Activision. And then suddenly she's like, fuck you, Jimbo. I'm leaving. I'm going back to Sean Layden. I don't know what happened. But anyway, buddy, thank you for the call. I appreciate it. All right, there he goes into the evening. Let me get these super chats. Okay. Crazy Horse, thank you, buddy. He says, remember Phil said Sony is not their competition. Microsoft is looking at Amazon, Google, and Tencent. Yeah, and Apple. Yes. I mean, here's the question based on what Richard was just saying, though. Even if Apple comes in, even if a company comes in, and I know it sounds unheard of that someone would buy Sony, but it sounded unheard of until I woke up this morning that somebody would come in and acquire or try to acquire Activision. Let's assume for the moment that Apple did buy Sony or somebody of that ilk bought Sony. Ultimately, Sony's biggest power in this particular game, if you're going to make hardware, is their biggest weakness, which is they are so slow, which is why you get greatness. They are so particular. They are so boutique-y that even if they had all these other resources, there would have to be some kind of shift in their day-to-day management structure of thinking. It's like, yeah, we're always going to protect our first-party premium groups, but we're going to have a group within Apple, Sony, or whatever they call it, that is just pumping out software like McDonald's. Because as great as their games are, as untouchable as their games are, at a quality level in that genre, that's not enough anymore. You've got to have that, but you've got to, they make the Oscar bait, but they need the big summer action movies. It's not a literal comparison. I know Uncharted's a big summer action movie, but you know what I mean? The ones that aren't agonized over like everything's a piece of art. They've got to get some of those studios on that cadence, whether or not they get acquired or not. All right, let me, let's see. PlayStation will address Game Pass, says Tom Z. Then you only need to buy a PlayStation and sign up for Game Pass there. Oh, no. PlayStation will add Game Pass. So you're agreeing with Ricardo. Then you only need to buy a PlayStation and sign up for Game Pass on your PlayStation. Win-win for everyone. Still buying a PlayStation and Xbox with the sub. Yeah, I mean, I think you and Ricardo are right. If that could work, I don't know why Xbox would want... I guess Xbox would want to do it if they run the numbers and go, the number of places that we can get Game Pass if we do with Sony is going to be worth the fact that we don't really care anymore about the hardware. That's possible. Maddie Soares of the Florida Soares, you got a good family, man. This isn't good for antitrust, he says, but this is great for those brands. Crash 4 sold 2 million and Activision was ready to drop the whole property again. Right. I mean, Toys for Bob is one of the best developers in the industry. And this is one of the things, a lot of people come at me because I support things like Game Pass and Luna's subscription model. And I don't know where Spartacus is going to come down with this, but I've been a subscriber to PS Now and PS Plus forever. They're all, but what I always say why I love those services is it allows games like Crash to actually have a home again, because no one's dropping $70 for, you guys are looking at this guy. Sorry about that. No one's dropping $70 for those games anymore, right? It's too expensive for that. But on a subservice, yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Suddenly these properties, I would even start to wonder, what does Activision have that we haven't thought about in a long time that is an Activision brand that could be relevant again if you're only spending $25 million on it, and you're putting it out as something to feed the beast that is Game Pass. So there's a good pace going. Like what do these guys have that's not the big stuff? They have, Zork. I'm kidding. I mean, that's what I'm saying. You go all the way back to when they acquired Infocom. Pitfall, yeah, River Raid. They have Tony Hawk. Okay, I don't know if Tony Hawk is... The license is forever, though, because it's a guy. But yeah, I mean, there are some... StarCraft 3, Crash Bandicoot. They have Blur. I don't know if that's really... Activision owns the Sierra back catalog. Guitar Hero. Oh, they have Tenchu. I mean, a lot of these aren't enough to move the needle, but some of them are. So that's where I do think acquiring EA makes a little more sense on the IP front, because as much as people want FIFA and Madden, of course... You also are going to get Mirror's Edge and Dead Space and Dante's Inferno and all the shit that goes back to that catalog. Call of Duty doesn't have to be yearly now, says Mr. Orange. So much to really think of in this one. Yeah, especially with Warzone out there. I mean, think about that. Think about if Activision... I mean, the thing is, Activision is not pumping these out every year from the same developer. They have 3 core developers working on them. But still, though, if you've heard Phil Spencer and those guys say, we want our Last of Us and all that. Imagine if they said, we're going to take the Call of Duty campaign and we're really going to give it, we're going to make it dramatic, and we're going to hire awesome writers and awesome directors, and we're going to do prestige Call of Duty campaign where it feels like the movie Platoon versus like an action movie. I mean, I would be there in a fucking heartbeat. I think that would be awesome. The first 48 Gaming says 90% of Game Pass is games you've already played or didn't want to. You sound like somebody who doesn't have Game Pass. I mean, that's fair. If that's what you think, that's what you think. But Game Pass has been fucking awesome, man. Aaron says, what did I miss? Just the biggest fucking deal in video games potentially ever. I'm not being hyperbolic. Ray says, do you think we could see some new and interesting approaches like big budget Warcraft action RPG game? Yes. Yeah, I mean, this is like... Imagine that sort of, creative writer's room day one when all the deal's done and they all sit down and go, what are we making, fellas? I mean, come on. That's got to be a fucking fun time. Think about the number of things that people at Activision who are blisteringly talented have been wanting to do for a long time. It doesn't mean suddenly it becomes an art studio, make whatever the fuck you want. But the idea that it sounds, because if you look at how Xbox is greenlit things, it sounds like they're going to be very different, which makes sense because their business model is different. They can afford to greenlight things like we were just talking about with Crash that are not just, the money that they have to make to please the shareholders is more in line with what gamers want, which is variety and creativity and commercial games. Whereas the business model Activision was under, as much as I think Bobby Kotick is a piece of human waste, there's no doubt he knew what the market wanted at a large level and how to get it. But now I think Xbox is going to be able to take that creativity and make it work for Game Pass in a way that I think gamers are going to appreciate. I think they're going to leave these IPs multi-platinum. It's like Minecraft, I bet, says Aaron. Yeah, it could be. I mean, we don't know. The fact, though, I would have thought that as well, but like I've said before, it's a win-win either way. You leave Call of Duty, the new one, multi-platinum, or multi-platform, and it's $70, or it's free on Game Pass. I mean, really, how many experiences is the average gamer going to put up with of going, my friend got it for free, I'm paying $70. My friend got it for free, I'm paying $70. My friend got it for free. There's a point where you go, okay, this is ridiculous. This is fucking ridiculous. They try to become successful for 20 years, says Luca, for copying the PlayStation model and fail. They throw a temper tantrum and buy everything. How can anyone respect that? You know, I mean, that's a deep conversation, man, because then what you're saying, Frank, oh my God, please stop. Please fucking stop. Not free. I know it's not free, Frank, but it's free. Okay, it's fucking free. You know what I'm talking about. What do you think my response is going to be, Franklin? Is it going to be me going, oh, fuck, yeah, Franklin got me there. I was saying it was free, but I was lying. I didn't want people to know it was really $15 a month. Buddy, we know you have to pay for Game Pass. But compared to the value that you get for paying for Game Pass, it's comparatively free. And you know what I'm fucking talking about, okay? But let's go back to this. They try to become successful. They throw a temper tantrum and they buy everything. How can anyone respect that? I mean, you kind of get into a situation then where it's like, okay, so I guess at that point, what are you valuing, right? You're basically saying you value the creativity and nuance that Sony's games bring to the world more than you value, and that's power, right? But power is also money. Power is also making shrewd business deals. You're just simply saying that is something that you don't respect, which is fair, which is totally fair. But I don't, this is business. All these people do the same thing. You know, the idea, look, I worked for Sony for over 20 years. I worked for PlayStation for over 20 years. And as much as I've probably pissed off a bunch of them with this stream I've been doing for the last couple of years, I still have great affection for a large percentage of the people who work there. They're good people. And as individual humans, they're good. They're honest as they can be in business, and they're kind, and I like them. But the idea that to paint Sony with this brush of nobility as if Sony is somehow, it's like, well, you know, yeah, if you want to play dirty, I guess we could have competed, but we chose not to cheat. It's like, no, they use every bullet in their gun. They're different bullets, but they use every bullet in their gun to compete just like Microsoft does. And whether or not they're making smart plays in terms of where they aim the bullet, you know, that's a question for Jim Ryan and Sean Layden before and Shu before. But to suggest that they're like good because they don't play the game the way Microsoft does, I mean, I hear you. I respect your point of view on that. I don't agree with you. I'm not saying Microsoft is better than or is more noble. I'm just saying that based on what we've seen, there's no evidence of that. I'm pretty torn on how to feel, says Michael McFarlane. I understand. My initial feeling is, as a PlayStation fan, is this is bad. As an industry fan, I'm glad Microsoft did it before Tencent. You goddamn right. You goddamn fucking right, man. Absolutely. That's a great point. I mean, Tencent, I'm not going to get into it on this stream, but if you're curious, listen to Colin Moriarty. I've done some videos. Just go read some articles. There's some great books on it. China, I got nothing but love for the Chinese folks, the Chinese people, but the government and how they're affecting propaganda around the world by getting their tentacles into our medium, whether it's games, movies, books, not books, but games, movies, TV. It's the real fucking deal. And it's something we got to be aware of. Maybe we don't care, but we should at least be aware. Hey, that rhymed. Eddie Cardwell, thank you for being a member for all this time. He says, if Microsoft found a way to get Take-Two and CD Projekt Red, I don't think Sony could stand a chance, even with better exclusives. Look, I don't know if Sony can stand a chance now, right? I mean, because those two companies that you've just mentioned, their frequency of putting out games is so low, and those games go multi-platform all the time that, you know, but let's assume they didn't. Let's assume it was exclusive. GTA, when's the last GTA? And, you know, they just don't come out frequently enough to merit, you know, that's, I don't know if I agree with that. It would be a hell of a get. That's for fucking sure. I think somebody who mentioned EA makes more sense, assuming Sony could get them. If Sony gets bought by Apple and then Apple gets EA for them and it gets folded into Sony, that becomes an interesting conversation. That becomes Sony staying in the game. Sony will agree to get Game Pass on PlayStation. Oh, we already did Ricardo. Okay, yeah. It's a good idea. It's not about Call of Duty only, says Ray. It's about bringing focused players and money to the platform, and many different things could thrive as a consequence. It's not about Call of Duty only. It's about bringing focused players and money to the platform, and many things could thrive as a consequence. No, I agree. Like we talked about, like Crash being a good example. All right, I'm going to bring in Josh Tull. Josh Tull, it's Jaffe. What's up, man?
What's going on, Jaffe? How are you?
Well, I'm good. I'm doing a stream, you old knucklehead. What's up with you?
Yeah, so, I mean, I know we've been kind of focused on, and obviously rightly so, the impact on, like, the industry and things like that.
I thought we were going to have a little banter. I guess we're getting right to the fucking sex. Okay, fine. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't really dabble in foreplay. It's not my strong suit. So I'm more so interested in the impact of, like, the human side of it on like the Activision side. So like their workers, their teams, I think it's obviously no secret at this point that there is a serious, you know, issue over there with how they run their teams, who's in places of power, obviously Kotick being the most prominent one. But in general, I mean, clearly their pipeline is messed up. I mean, they are having some serious issues in general. So I know it might be a while before this kind of, you know, acquisition fully is, you know, all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted and stuff like that. But do you think there could be some sort of impact almost immediately, maybe to the culture over there, and you know, something positive for their workers?
Sure. Yeah, it's a great question and great point. I mean, look, I think if you're one of these people that's thinking about getting out, I think today's news perhaps makes you start to go, well, this could be interesting. Let's put it this way. If you're one of the guys, again, I keep bringing up Toys for Bob because I'm such a fucking fan of theirs, and it's so heartbreaking. Right. If you've played any of their stuff, certainly the last Crash. If you played Spyro, the remix, it's just delightful, just fucking magical games. You know, if you're those guys and you've been thinking about getting out when your contract expires because I can't fucking make Call of Duty games, that's not what I do. Suddenly you actually have a bit of a ray of hope of like, oh, this could be interesting, right? So I think there's some really neat possibilities for the individuals. I wonder how engaged Kotick is going to be. I wonder if part of the deal is like, look, man, you still have to hit these milestones to get these massive bonuses. I don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't know that, how it's going to affect their day to day. But I definitely think as a creative guy who has worked in games, if I was unhappy and then I saw this coming, that could potentially, if I had some more data, which I'm sure they do, be a creative lifeboat, and I'm not going to have to worry about being fucking abused and having pictures of my penis or vagina taken and sent around Christmas parties, which is what was happening under Kotick. I would go, maybe it's worth hanging in there a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, do you think that maybe quickly after they're able to, they might reshuffle to just like the entire, I guess, kind of infrastructure of how those studios operate and report? I mean, I feel like it's pretty much a no-brainer once they could, that like Kotick and all those people would probably be out.
I wouldn't know that. I don't, because somebody else had called in and said, Microsoft legally can't be involved in any day-to-day until the deal is done. Microsoft. So I don't know. This is not really my world, but I would wonder about that. If suddenly they start making serious changes that Microsoft is not at least supposed to be aware of and is not directing, they could potentially find themselves in a situation where once Microsoft's deal is done, if it gets done, they're going to have to change again anyway, because Spencer's like, yeah, I don't want that, so I have no way of knowing that. But the ideal world is this to me, is Spencer obviously is a beast. He wants to make a lot of money for himself, his family, and his company. Great. But he's also hopefully remains the gamer he presents as. Game Pass is going to allow more creative games to flourish, like we saw with Psychonauts 2, like we'll see with Brian Fargo's new game, on and on and on. And that he is kind of making his desires known to the key right people so they can be prepared to hit the ground day one when this deal gets done. That's the ideal. I don't know if any of that's true, but that's what I hope.
Yeah, I just hope that, I mean, because I know some people in that realm over there that work in those studios, and I just hope for them it's a little peace of mind that maybe there's, brighter things on the horizon. Because for a
Yep.
while there, it seemed like we were just putting our heads down and it wasn't going to be what it was going to be.
No,
So, I mean, who knows?
before we went live, and I haven't been able to check, I reached out to a friend over there, and I was kind of trying to read the tea leaves. So I will be very curious to talk about that later on the 5 o'clock stream today about, if we've been able to hear from the actual employees, what does this do to their protest and what does this do to their demands and all that, So it's interesting times, man. Thank you, Josh, for calling. I appreciate it, bud. All right, let me bring one more call real quick. This is Johnny Grandpa, who y'all know. Johnny Grandpa is that kind of grandpa that you sit in his lap and he says, I got nothing. I'm really tired.
Jaffe, old so-and-so, how's it going?
Hey, it's going pretty good. What's up, man? How are you?
I'm all right. Basically, I just woke up like 20 minutes ago, and I saw that you're streaming about this, and I'm like, oh my God, everything's falling apart. I have one thought, though. It's like, I have a few thoughts, I guess, but again, I'm still kind of processing this. But like, aren't regulators going to take a look at this? Then the Securities and Exchange Commission, aren't they going to, at the very least, like, take a hard look at this for a while?
Sure. In fact, that was that's what some people who had called in earlier on the show were saying, that they're Totillo had mentioned it, but then there were some people on, I guess, MSNBC talking about it, or one of the business channels talking about, saying, it's going to be a tough fight, but a lot of the people who are kind of finance people and in the know say that the government will probably put up roadblocks, but the people who kind of study this stuff and do this stuff go, this will probably go through. So we there's no way to know. There's going to be a year and a half or whatever of lawyers and debate and discussion and navigating, but we'll see.
Sure. Well, as far as what like Sony should do about it, I'm tempted to say that they shouldn't really take the bait on this. I mean, like, it seems like that Microsoft, I mean, obviously Microsoft is doing this because they want to benefit themselves, but I feel like there's also like, there's this energy of them like trying to bait Sony into doing something similar when they know that Sony does not have the war chest that Microsoft has. And they don't, not only are they incapable of competing with Microsoft on this level of just buying these massive publishers, but I don't think they should. I mean, look at what they already have going. Look at what they already have going on. They have the most successful brand
but
in gaming.
Look, you may be right, but I said this earlier. In my opinion, this changes. This basically takes the video game industry to a whole different playing field. This is now getting into the world of Amazon, Apple, Tencent.
Right. Massive consolidation.
Yeah, that is what we're talking about, where you have to spin to play. Does Sony as a company, will they always, assuming they don't change anything, be able to make amazing games? 100%. There's no fucking doubt in the world. But are they positioned now to compete at this level? Because as great as their games are, like I said earlier, there's only so many times you can walk into a store or go into a download thing and go, it's $70 or it's free. It's $70 or it's free. Or go, yes, Sony makes great games, but they only put 2 or 3 out of them a year. Whereas with Bethesda, I mean, think about the fact that we're living in a world now where the Bethesda deal is not the biggest fucking fish in the pond.
I know. That seems like small fry to this, which is insane.
So you're on Game Pass and you're like, every fucking month there's a fucking massive hitter dropping. Come on, man. Sony can't compete. Apple needs to buy them. That's what I think.
Well, I don't know about that, but what I think is that, in terms of like protecting the herd, because there are some third-party publishers that Sony seems to have a good, long-standing relationship with, that, like you mentioned Capcom a lot, like maybe they should buy Capcom. I could see that, or I could see maybe Square or Namco or maybe Kojima. I could see maybe a couple of those. But outside of that, I don't think they should try this. I think let Microsoft do the, let them try to perform surgery with a bazooka if that's how they want to do it. I don't think Sony really needs to do it. And, they could also look in the other direction. If Microsoft wants to pull from the top, Sony can pull from the bottom. They can, they have
we hire the worst people at Sony. We're getting them right from the bottom of the barrel.
But I don't mean bottom in terms of quality. I mean
I know.
bottom in terms of like popularity. Like like the indie developed. Like remember then the PS3 when Sony did a really good job of having a bunch of weird indie stuff and like putting like mid-range to low end budget projects like Puppeteer and like Nobi Boy
and they didn't sell.
Well, I guess not, but they did that momentum that they created with PlayStation at the end of the PS3 really helped the PS4. That's that inertia that they created.
Yeah, they created inertia and goodwill. But again, man, right. I don't.
Which made the PS4 one of the most successful consoles of all time.
Well, here's what I will say, and then I'll let you go. But I appreciate the call. But I will say this. I think I'm trying to come up with a great analogy. I'm not a writer, but I think like you're almost at this point. The best analogy I've been able to come up with is like high school football versus the NFL. Sony has been playing and Xbox has been playing high school football. And Microsoft has just now gone to the NFL. And Sony can't keep competing against the NFL teams because they're the best high school team in the country. The game has changed. It's gotten so big that even Sony can keep doing their stuff, but the scope is so much bigger now that if Call of Duty goes exclusive and all the Blizzard shit goes exclusive, I don't see it. But you may be right. Thank you for the call, buddy. I appreciate it.
Love you, Jaffe.
Me as well, sir. Let's go to the prom together and make a baby. Okay, listen now. Encryption, our good friend Encryption, says, I can't see, who, by the way, I'm reading your question about game ideas on today's stream at 5. I can't see Call of Duty becoming exclusive to Xbox PCs. Sony might lose the marketing relationship, but not the whole game. Keep it up, Jaffe. Thank you, sir. I don't know why not. Up until what was the game? Starfield, I would have agreed with you. I thought what Xbox was going to do was Minecraft the whole fucking thing. And every game was going to be like, yeah, it's better on Xbox. It's, quote, free on Xbox. And we're probably going to delay the release by like 2 or 3 or 4 months so we get it first. But it will be coming to Sony. It will be coming to Switch or whatever. But now that they've put their foot down and said, no, we're into the exclusives game with this shit, I don't know if I agree anymore. I mean, if that's their philosophy, which is let's take it to them via the exclusives, you take Call of Duty away from PlayStation, the bro gamers don't give a fuck. You think they give a fuck about Abby and Ellie and Joel dying with the golf club? You think they give a fuck about Atreus coming out as bisexual in the sequel? Oh. Wink. No. They just want to play their Call of Duty with their bras. So, no. I think they make it exclusive, and that's a fucking... That's like... It's not like when Apollo Creed gets knocked out by Drago and dies, but it's when he takes those punches at first and he's like, oh shit, this is a real fucking fight, and I don't think I can compete. That's what it's like. Let's not act like Sony, says Pixelbit G, hasn't been playing dirty with 2-year exclusives and money hatting. This is all fair play. Of course, yeah, this is not... What do you guys think this is? The most important thing, if you get nothing else out of coming and hanging out today, which I appreciate very much, here's what you should take away. If you actually buy the horse shit PR from any of these companies, it's like, but I thought they were pals. Remember, they got on Keeley's show, and there was Reggie Fils-Aimé, and there was Phil Spencer and Sean Layden, and they were friends. It was like peace in the Middle East. It's like, motherfucker, they probably are friends. They're just people fucking doing a job, but they're competing. Sony's not sitting there going, well, we could go the route of those Xbox heathen. But no, we believe in the Jesus, and we will play fair. I mean, they play fair legally, but they play tough. Everybody plays tough. You play with what you got. The Pony Meltdown in chat says Turbo SRT is legendary. Look, man, I'm not a console war guy. I feel bad for someone who has put a lot of their own... A lot of the console wars, people just having fun. I don't care about that. But there are people out there that have really invested a lot of their own personal... aspects into their chosen box, okay? And it's on one hand I'd say this has to be kind of rough for them, but on the other hand maybe it's a wake-up call. It's like, guys, they're companies. They don't care about you. They don't give a fuck about you. And I don't mean they're mean people, but it's all PR. They're not your friends. You don't know who they are. They're just the people who take that shit seriously. I think maybe they can use this as a time to go, that's a bad idea to think about companies that way. Sputnik Cosmonaut says, Microsoft knows they can make more from a more expensive Game Pass, even on PlayStation, because they'll make it pricier than selling loss-leading Xboxes. Yeah, I mean, I think Ricardo's the first guy that mentioned that today, and I think that's a great point. Absolutely, man. ST says, thank you, buddy. He says, Sony make studios into partners instead of subordinates and get them invested into platform success. This could be a renaissance for PlayStation players instead of the death penalty. I mean, yeah, it sounds like a fucking fortune cookie wisdom, but every challenge is an opportunity, right? So it could be that. But so far what Sony has been doing is taking longer and longer to make their games, spending more and more to make their games, becoming more and more precious about their games, because that is what they currently, like the guy who just called in to talk about Sony PS3. Well, yeah, Parappa didn't cost too much, right? Or Puppeteer didn't cost all that much. Great fucking game, by the way. It's on PS Now if you haven't played it. It's absolutely worth your time. But, there's a point where Sony said, that's not working for us. You know what's working for us is taking a long time, doing the best in the business in this genre. And that, the very thing that makes them successful is what makes them slow. And what makes it hard for them to compete with the massive amount of shit that Xbox is going to be putting out on Game Pass. Now, again, if you go back to the food analogy, a lot of people don't mind waiting. You go to McDonald's right now, you get your burger in 5 minutes, 3 minutes. You go to fucking Ruth's Chris or even like a real, non-chain steakhouse, you got to wait. But can you run out? And a publisher can work that way. A game publisher can work that way. But can a hardware manufacturer work that way? I've never seen that. The closest thing I can think of is Neo Geo back in the day, where they sold hardware and software to a very exclusive clientele, and the prices went through the roof. If I remember correctly, Neo Geo games, those big fucking chunky carts that look like Star Wars binoculars, cost like $175 to buy, and the actual Neo Geo console was like $700. Maybe Sony can hang in if they become more boutique-y like that and send their prices. Fupy, I don't agree, but I agree in concept. Fupy says Game Pass is low-quality trash for the masses. I don't think it's low-quality trash, but I do think it's for the masses, yes. But the masses are the masses, which is why they spend more. Collectively, of course. All right. Thank you so much, Sinzo86 for the super chat. Stefan says, if Xbox is McDonald's, McDonald's doesn't necessarily produce quality product. Do you think they may end up with too many projects? No, I don't. Xbox has historically been weak with management. I'll tell you what, I've said this over and over since I started this stream. Today, it's worth repeating. If these motherfuckers are going around dropping $70 billion, go get Scott Rhodey. I don't want to see Sony gutted. I don't. But what I'm saying is their weakness is that they, at least historically, maybe the worm has turned, but that means it's bad. Maybe things have changed. But their weakness has been that they have a hard time riding herd over their development studios. Okay? Could have changed, but they had nothing out day one for Xbox software. It took a year for the most part to get something new out. Halo was a mess forever. They pulled it out, but it's still deficient of a lot of content that it needs, on and on and on. Shannon Studstill is not working in games right now. Back the Brinks truck up to that woman, and she will make this work. Scott Rhodey is working at Sony. I don't know. Connie Booth. I don't want to see Connie Booth leave. I don't want to see Shu leave. I don't want to see Rhodey leave. But these are some of the best creative executives who have ever worked in this industry. And if you're going to spend $80 billion on fucking what are they called? Activision, you might want to think about making sure you got people there who can manage it once the deal is done. That's what I would fucking say. I wonder if Phil Spencer still has blocked Jaffe on Twitter. He did that, but I don't think anymore. I don't think anymore. Shannon's about to announce something. Yeah, Shannon, I got to talk to Shannon. I think Shannon's trying to get into this NFT shit. I got to talk her out of it before she loses her fucking shirt. But we'll see. She might convince me. She's a smart lady. If anybody can convince me there's value in NFTs, it's Shannon Studstill. If Microsoft gets EA and FIFA, it's game over, says Ricardo. Yeah, we talked about that. Thank you. Exabit says, even after Activision and Microsoft's deal, they would be third in revenue after Tencent and Sony. Seems like a reach for the FTC to call it a monopoly. I don't think monopoly fits, right? I think there might be other pieces of regulatory oversight that fit, that could stop the deal or adjust the deal or what have you. But doesn't monopoly imply that if you go through with this deal, you have a vice control on an entire market? Nintendo's still there, Sony's still there, Valve is still there making Steam Deck. This doesn't prevent them from doing business. So I don't know if monopoly's the right word, but it wouldn't surprise me to say that there might need to be some adjustments, because there are some things that this does violate. But at least somebody was saying the government will try to prove that. Phil Spencer comes in. Thank you, buddy. He says, I'm getting the wifey V tonight. Yeehaw. Think about that for a minute, though. Think about the fact that, let me tell you something, men or ladies watching this here show. If you're married to somebody and it's celebratory when you get to have sex with them, it's time for couples therapy, which probably won't work. It's time for couples therapy. It shouldn't be something you should celebrate it because it's enjoyable, but it shouldn't be so rare that you got to spend $80 billion, $70 billion to buy a company before you get your wife's vagina, Phil. Come on. You're a great executive. You don't know shit about the ladies. All right, let's move. We got Kills on Fire. Thank you, buddy. He says, I can see Sony spending $1 billion to get a 10-year exclusive contract with Square Capcom to stay competitive. I don't see them buying. But see, again, you're thinking too small. Capcom is one of my favorite companies in the industry. Okay, but the release schedule of Capcom is IV drip speed. It's a couple of games a year. I'm not saying they're not big. They got Monster Hunter, they got Resident Evil, they got the Dante. I get it. But these guys have just acquired a powerhouse publisher, right? Capcom is great, but it's not at the same level. If they want to do this, they need an EA. I don't even think Ubisoft is the right call. I think they need an EA. But thank you for the super chat. Hungry Adventures, thank you, buddy. He says, the only reason to buy these companies is to make these exclusive and gain more subs. Game Pass has 25 million subs right now. Spartacus needs to come. I think it's more than 25. It is weird they had such a great Christmas, according to a lot of analysts, and they haven't released their Game Pass numbers. Hopefully we'll be seeing that soon. Whether or not they make them exclusive or not, I think they'll get more subs. They'll either get more subs because the competition, meaning Sony, looks terrible in comparison, and that'll drive people to sub, or they'll sub because it's, quote, free on Game Pass, and it's the only place you can get it. Patrick's Raider has been a member for 10 months. Thank you, buddy. He says they should bring back Pitfall. Really? No, I don't think so. I mean, I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem if they bring back Pitfall. But I like Pitfall. But, I mean, what is it at this point? Pitfall was an Indiana Jones thematic ripoff, which was a great game. But what do you have after that? Right? There's really nothing in the license. You might as well, I mean, you know. Game Pass has they announced they have 25 million subs. Okay. Oh, I did not know that. That's great. Okay, so 18 million was the last they announced in January 2021. So you know, what is that? 7 million increase over a year? Is that right? Am I doing the math right? Was it January the last time they announced? January 18th, 2022. Yeah, but when did they announce the last numbers? I'm trying to figure out how fast the growth is. You know, if the growth is they had 18 million, they're at 25, and that's in 4 months. Okay, 18 from September, October to 25. That's a big thing. That makes sense. Turn Pitfall into its own Uncharted. Why not? I'm not saying I'm opposed to Pitfall. I'm just saying there's nothing there. You know, whether or not you do the Indiana Jones game they're doing at Bethesda, which is another game I'm excited about. But I don't think there's any. The Pitfall brand is incredibly old, and it doesn't bring much to it. Okay, let me bring in Professor Goo. Professor Goo, it's Jaffe. How you doing, man? Professor Goo, where are you?
Can you hear me?
I can. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm pretty good.
Sleep well?
No, I only got 3 hours of sleep. But I did think about when I woke up, I thought about that scene in Cobra Kai where Daniel LaRusso's wife slaps Kreese and says, I don't give a shit what you like. Remember that? That was awesome. Anyway, what's up, man?
I just gotta say, I gotta preface this first so that
Yep.
the Sony fanboys don't come at me. I have been a Sony guy and only ever been a Sony guy. I've owned a PS2, 3, 4, and now 5.
Okay.
For like 15, 16 years or now, or something like that.
Yep.
So, but I just gotta say, like, this for gaming wise, I mean, for like people that are actually watching this stream, because I feel like they're not. I mean, we're not hardcore. I mean, sorry, we're not the mass
Right.
demographic. We are, the what is it? We're the minority.
Yeah, that's right. We're the
Xbox-
we're the vocal minority. We're the hardcore fans.
Yeah. Xbox purchasing Activision is probably it's one of the best things for gaming, quote unquote. I think because you can pay like what, $15 a month. Because I mean, there's someone I think it was like Frank or something that was saying it's not free. Like we all know it's free. It's like 400 plus games.
And this guy in the chat, by the way, just did the math. He says $15 times 25 million is $375 million a month. Times 12 is $4.5 billion a year. So,
Exactly.
And keep going. Sorry.
And the crazy thing, right, is like the amount of money that Microsoft has as a company, like not just Xbox, they're well valued over $1 trillion or something like that. So they could easily purchase Sony if they wanted to, and that would make it a real monopoly.
Yeah.
But so like you were talking about how can Sony like compete if they can't, like you were talking about like high school to NFL football and stuff like that. Sony can't financially, they can't, and my like. I'm not concerned because it doesn't really like I'm not attached to a box because it's
right.
just a box at the end of the day.
Because
right?
you're a goddamn grown ass man.
Well, actually, I'm only 20, but yeah.
Well, fuck you. 20's an adult.
Yes, I guess, yeah. But
okay, you live at home.
Yeah, I mean.
You have a job?
I do not. I'm still in school.
Oh, okay. What are you studying?
Computer science.
Oh, look at you go. You're a badass. All right, keep going. Sorry.
Thank you. No, sorry. But I was just thinking about like multiple things when it comes to Sony. So like Sony's worth, they don't have that much money, and in comparison to Microsoft, they have a lot of money, obviously. But in comparison to Microsoft, it is a drop of the bucket because I think it's like $20 billion they have in cash reserves that they could actually spend on a company. While we just saw what Microsoft did with Activision, so it's not even close. But I was thinking about like how Microsoft could potentially use their 31 developers as I forget what the first person's name was, but they said like it's probably gonna have 31 devs.
Right.
I remember you bringing up a point like maybe 2-3 months ago how they had 23 developers, and if they like spaced it out like 2 to 3 months, they could pretty much have like one game every 2 months for 4 year in a 4-year cycle. And once that's done,
if you break the 23 down and say they're offset by 2 years. You could come out with the first-party Xbox title, depending on how many studios are doing more than one game, every 4 to 6 weeks. So you could have that cadence, and then if you marry that with the cadence that Game Pass already has, with indies or bigger third-party publisher games, you're already there. You fucking throw this in, and it's seismic. It really is Netflix at that point. It's every week you've got something worth keeping, because the whole subscription model works on keeping people from grinding, either because there's nothing to play or there's something to play somewhere else better. And you got to have that content. And this is a big fucking deal. It's a big fucking deal because that content's going to be there.
Like I don't have the ego to be like, oh yeah, I know more about gaming than you, because obviously, you've put in the work. You've worked longer in gaming than I've been alive, so I can't even say anything about that. But like,
yeah, okay. Then I'm cutting you off if you don't know anything. Bye. I'm kidding. Go ahead. Keep going.
But the 31 developers, I thought it was like something rough, like 2 months. Every 2 months, one of the 31 developers comes out with a game, and it's a 62-month span. That's a little bit more than 5 years. You have 31 new games, or at least something like that. And then once that 5-year span is over, you can have the first company that came out with a new game come back with the new Xbox exclusive title and stuff like that. I don't think that's realistically what's going to happen, because you have companies like you have Activision too, who are realistically going to come out with one game every year, or one game every 2 years, or something like that. So it's going to be spaced out differently. But they could potentially have their like Sony-esque God of Wars or Death Stranding, something like that, like a I don't know. They could have a whole bunch of stuff like that. And I was thinking about purchasing an Xbox relatively soon, but I was hoping on waiting for what the PS Plus Spartacus revamp was.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just got to know, like, what do you think the PS Plus like hit back, quote unquote, is going to be now? Because
that's two different questions, right? There's the question of what is Spartacus, but what is Spartacus? What makes Spartacus good enough yesterday is not necessarily what makes Spartacus good enough today. So, if I'm doing the Spartacus announcement, I might be going, oh shit, we got nothing to compete with this news. But I think whatever they do with Spartacus, even if they were to go 1-to-1 with Spartacus, which I don't think they're going to do, they can't compete. They cannot compete with because at first it was like, okay, everybody knows that Sony makes better games of a certain genre, and that would be enough to say, we're not going to give you Uncharted 5 day one. We're not going to give you God of War Ragnarok day one, but we are going to get onto a schedule that, just like with movies, when God of War Ragnarok comes out, you only have to wait anywhere from like 9 to 18 months. It'll be on the service. Maybe you can rent it a year after or whatever. And then we're also going to start putting into production things like Twisted Metal, things like Jade's Game, things that are smaller that will be designed from the ground up to be day one Spartacus titles. And then, as Phil Spencer implied yesterday in his quote, we're also, meaning Sony, we're also going to be putting out more third-party day one drops. So I think before yesterday, I think that could have been meaningful, because I think the story, and it's a correct perception, is that Sony puts out better quality games, so they can afford to hold their stuff more. It's like, yeah, you're fucking ABC network TV, we're fucking HBO, fuck off Xbox. And I think that narrative plays. But now if they have Call of Duty exclusive, if they have the Blizzard games exclusive, if they're small games that they drop in a month as Crash Bandicoot, come on. I think it's a very different situation. All right, buddy, I'll talk to you soon. And I would wait on the announcement, but I have both, and they're both great systems. But you can't go wrong with Game Pass if you love video games. There's no goddamn way. Yeah. All right, see you guys.
Oh, wait, wait, one more thing.
Yeah, real quick.
You pushing that fight about Bobby Kotick is, I think, partially I'm not saying you directly, but I'm saying the fight back against Bobby Kotick is partially the reason why Activision got purchased now. So I hope that the Activision employees have better management in Microsoft, and so
Microsoft so far has not reflected themselves, or they haven't presented themselves as a company with lots of shitty shit going down. So hopefully they will. All right, buddy. Thank you, Professor. I'll talk to you soon. Good luck on your computing. All right, there's a future computer game programmer, maybe. He's like, fuck that. I want to fucking make spreadsheets, bitch. Mo says, thank you for the super chat. He says, PS Plus subs are 47.2 million. Game Pass has 25. Game Pass is cheap as fuck, so assuming $5 a month, it will take Microsoft 51 years to recoup the $77 billion they spent on Bethesda, not to mention wages, R&D. The business model doesn't work. Mo, I want you to think about what you're saying, okay? I want you to really sit and think about this. Really take this to heart, my good friend. So what you're saying is the people at Microsoft, with their Yale and Harvard and Stanford business degrees and their doctorates in economics, and their entire departments and departments of departments to run numbers, read analysis, read the market, they've got it wrong. They just didn't think about what a guy named Mo, who's not at work right now, but he's on my chat at 9:40 in the morning, Mo's got it all figured out. Come on now. Even I'm not that arrogant. Mo, I love you. I want to take you to the sock hop, but you're out of your goddamn mind. I'm not saying you're wrong about your numbers. I'm saying that, do you think they didn't take this into account? I mean, when Sony makes one video game, they're running projections on a single game for return on investment. You think when Microsoft sat down and said, we're gonna do Game Pass, and then we're gonna spend $8 billion on Bethesda, and then we're going to spend $70 billion on Activision, you don't think anybody sat little Phil Spencer down and said, now, do your numbers work out? Come on now. All right. Jaffe, I can't believe PlayStation did not attempt to buy the Crash IP, says Drep. They might have. I honestly never heard that they did or didn't, but it wouldn't surprise me if they tried. Do you think Monopoly talk would be happening if it was Sony buying all the publishers? Sure. I mean, I don't think Sony has the history of acquiring lots of things, but I think if you start buying up big fucking companies and it's become a pattern, but I don't think. I mean, again, I'm not an economics guy, so and I'm not a legal guy, obviously, so I don't know what constitutes monopoly. But from my very layperson's understanding of monopoly, like I said earlier, this doesn't sound like it's a monopoly problem. There may be regulatory issues that have to be dealt with, but I don't think this is monopoly. It might be something else, though. Who's going to buy EA? I honestly, my take is I think Apple should buy Sony, and they should buy EA for Sony. Morgan says, I don't care who buys all the companies, I just don't want monopolies. Well, yeah, I mean, at the moment, sure. I don't think that's what this is, at least by definition. Let me bring in Yo Son, I'm bored of the Cincinnati Yo Sons. How are you, buddy? What's going on?
Hey, how's it going?
Very good. How are you?
Doing all right.
Good.
Before I want to talk about what I want to talk about, I just want to say it sounds more like an antitrust issue rather than a monopoly that normally the DOJ frowns upon.
Can you explain briefly what antitrust is?
You're asking the wrong guy to give you a good explanation for it, but it's basically what Disney does in a sense. You're asking the wrong person to give
So
you a
you're
good
calling in to
explanation
tell me it's an antitrust case, not a monopoly case, but you don't know what an antitrust case is. I understand.
I don't.
Let's move on.
All right.
You feel like a fucking moron now, don't you, boy?
I feel like an absolute moron.
You goddamn right.
A monopoly would imply that they, like, if it in the next
You
like 3 months.
don't know what you're speaking of.
Well, wouldn't a monopoly not be if they bought Nintendo?
Move on
EA,
to your
stuff?
question. Sorry, go ahead, buddy. It'll make sense when you see the stream. You're like, why is he saying? All right, go.
No.
What's up?
What level of oh my god. What level of anti-consumerism would you consider this deal in the Bethesda ZeniMax deal be?
Are you using anti-consumerism as like a specific, almost legal term, or are you just saying, do I think it's bad for customers? Like, I'm not sure what you mean by anti-consumerism.
No, not a legal term. Like a customer that's not on the Xbox or PC platforms.
I'll tell you in 1 second. Bacon Magma says the caller's panicking. Jaffe, you're so mean. First off, Bacon, it's your Y-O-U-R apostrophe or Y-O-U apostrophe R-E. Second, Bacon Magma, I'm not mean, and the caller should never panic. I'm always just having fun with people, and I hope you're not actually nervous, caller. Some people actually get nervous when they call in. Can you imagine that nonsense? Let me tell you something. When I called the woman who would become my wife, who is now my ex-wife, who's the mom of my kids, I remember walking around my apartment in Culver City. I was so fucking terrified. I paced for about 45 minutes. I finally called her. She was in the bathtub drinking wine. I says, hey, do you want to go to Bar One with me, which was like a fancy schmancy bar in LA? And she says, sure. I felt like a goddamn god when I got off the phone. Anyway, what are you talking about? Oh yeah, consumers, anti-consumer. So, I mean, what is that? Here's what I think the term anti-consumer these days, joking aside, gets tossed around by people whenever a company does something they don't like. And sure, I guess officially that's against the consumer, but I don't see how this is any different than You know, it's like, look, people compete. And do I think the government needs to have a tighter regulatory rein on capitalism? Yeah. And in that, do I think a bunch of the deals that have happened would not happen? Probably. But I don't sit here and think, oh, this might be bad for Sony consumers because they're like, hey, that's not fair. Now we're not getting Call of Duty. But I don't think it's Microsoft's job to make Sony's fans' dicks feel better. I think it's Microsoft.
Yeah.
I think it's Microsoft's jobs to make Sony fans go, I'd rather be an Xbox fan.
Yeah, no, you're right. Obviously, Microsoft has no reason for them to go look at Sony and be like, well, Sony can't afford doing this. Why should we not do it? I get that.
Right.
And I get that, like, this overall for, like, the developers that work there, this is a whole better situation
Oh yeah.
for them to be in now.
It seems to be,
Especially,
yes.
yeah, like World of Warcraft can definitely get back on track and probably be better than it's been in years, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the reason why I say anti-consumer is because not a lot of people can go out and be like, well, now I got to go buy a $400 Xbox or whatever. And I get you can play Game Pass on your phone. I've done that, and it plays terrible.
Well,
Right
I mean,
now,
that will always get better. But again, Microsoft doesn't owe you video games any more than Disney owes you a free ticket to go see Avengers. I mean, it is a business. And so what they're trying to say is, if you can't afford both systems, then maybe next time you'll choose us. I mean, that's competition, right? I mean, that's what we're supposed to be a fan of. If you don't, if you don't have that, then why would anybody compete at all? And why would you get good products? Hopefully, Sony will use this as an opportunity. Here's what we know. At a very DNA level, Sony comes from a company of innovation and pushing boundaries and thinking they're a bunch of fucking nerds. Like, they'll release shit that has no use at all, but they just think it's cool. Like, there's something they announced the other day. I'm like, why the fuck are you putting that out, Sony? Who the fuck wants that shit? But they'll do that. They'll put out a fucking brand new peripheral if they're Sony PlayStation with almost no software support and just hope it works because it's fucking cool. And it is cool. But that's
they've done that for years.
Yeah, but that's their strength as well. And if they can find a way to go, okay, let's play to our strength, but we have to play to our strength a little bit differently because now we're dealing with a bigger giant than we've ever dealt with before, I think that's good competition. If they fold and go, oh no, we have to go home now, we suck, then that's bad. But competition is supposed to sort of force that the best idea wins. It doesn't always work that way because of all the fucking politics and money in it, but at least conceptually it should. All right, buddy, I appreciate the call. Thanks, sir.
Yep.
All right, this is from this is from Mo, our genius Mo. He says, "Fuck you, Jaffe. I live in Dubai. It's 10 p.m. Oh, that's really late, sir." Buddy, I don't go out to the clubs until 11 p.m. I don't go to the clubs at all. Fuck you, Jaffe. I live in Dubai. It's 10 p.m. I have a job. Sean Layden and Jim Ryan said the business model doesn't work, that there are hidden things coming from Microsoft. Okay. What do I care where you live? What do I care what time it is? You have a job, great. But here's what interests me about your comment, though. And I don't care what Sean Layden says and Jim Ryan says. I like Sean Layden quite a bit. I don't know Jim Ryan. I don't know if it works or not. But again, this fantasy that a company takes on anything without running the numbers and having some predictions doesn't mean they don't fail. But the idea that they take this shit on without running some numbers and figuring, in something as big as a $70 million purchase, and before that an $8 billion purchase, 70 billion, 8 billion, and then Game Pass in general. Come on, Mo. Come on. We raised you better than that. Your mom and I, where did we go wrong? This is Adam Blue. Adam Blue. What's going on, baby?
Hey, nice to talk to you, Jaffe. And real quick, if this has already been talked about, feel free to eject me.
Okay.
So what I find interesting is the timeline of events. So, all this stuff about Bobby Kotick and all that, the issues going on in Activision, when that's kind of been known for a while. So I'm just kind of curious if maybe that was a play in a way to kind of get that exposed and out there to kind of maybe make this an easy transition for Microsoft, or do you think Activision put themselves in a vulnerable position for Microsoft to kind of swoop in and do this?
No, who the fuck knows with Bobby Kotick? He's literally the devil. If you don't believe me, you can check him out right now on your screen.
I've been a fan for a while.
Oh yeah, he's evil. But the point is though, I mean, to that level, you know, people jokingly talk about 4D chess. That level of planning, that it's like I'm going to be a shitty leader, and I'm going to put ourselves in a position to really tank the stock, so someone can acquire us. I mean, that's bizarre.
Not that he would do that though, necessarily. Almost like maybe there's a plan to expose some of these things since nothing was really happening about it, and it was kind of a double play. Hey, we can expose Activision, maybe put them in a good position to make it easy for us, being Microsoft, to buy them.
Who are you saying did the exposing to Activision?
You know, I don't know. I just think recently we've seen, especially in the video game space, I think longer than even in movies, of, you know, that kind of social justice going on where it's a big deal about exposing people or
No, I know, but who is the person that said
I wouldn't know.
I know, but are you suggesting it was like Bobby Kotick or the board?
No, it would be someone more Microsoft friendly, I guess. Either inside Microsoft.
I think you're giving the human brain too much credit. I think if you're talking about machine language, machine learning, maybe an AI could figure out that kind of, you know, made for TV movie level of sophisticated, you know, backstabbing.
But isn't it just interesting, the timeline of events
but somebody called in, somebody said earlier, and you know, I don't know. I mean, obviously these deals take a long time to go through. I don't know how long the deals take to make an offer and then have a company say, yes, we're interested, let's begin the process. That could only take a week. I don't fucking know. But the reason I say that is somebody had said that the stock had tanked recently, and they were attributing it, I don't know if they're right, but let's take them at face value, they're attributing it to all of the shit that Bobby Kotick has been, you know, talked about. And in that, the price got down low enough that Microsoft felt comfortable buying. But if this hadn't happened, the stock price per share would have been way too high for even Microsoft to want to touch. I don't know if that's true, but that makes a lot more sense than someone in the back room going, I'm going to do this, and in doing this, it's going to cause this butterfly effect. I just can't see how that would work.
Yeah, and maybe that's not the angle. I feel like somehow these things are too closely happening together when Activision has had this history of this stuff occurring that in some way...
I think what it probably does is you never hear about... We don't know how many times that... Activision, that Microsoft has approached Activision, right? We don't know how many times that Tencent has approached Activision. It may just be that
we've heard those rumors,
right? Yeah. So it may just be that this was the time because, you know, the I don't know what the term is, the chickens had come home to roost at this point, and it was a good time to go in and make the offer again. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
All right, man. Thanks for the call. I appreciate it.
For having me.
Anytime, man. Call back. Good to see you, bud. All right, here's Spazbo of World of Long Plays, the famous Spazbo. What's up, man?
Oh, hey. So I just woke up and you're streaming. What the hell is going on?
I'm going to stream at 5 o'clock as always, Monday through Friday at 5. But I'm streaming right now because, yeah, you know, Microsoft has made an offer to buy Activision Blizzard for $70 billion. It sounds like Activision has said, okay. I don't know if Activision is going to shop themselves for a month like Zynga is shopping themselves for a month, or if they're like, no, we're good. Let's do it. But now we spend a couple of years in, you know, regulatory hell to make sure this deal can go through, or if the government's going to step in and say no fucking way. And there you go. So that's what we're talking about. I could not talk about it. I couldn't wait till 5 o'clock to get people's thoughts and share people's thoughts and discuss this, because this is one of the biggest. I've been in the industry for 20 something years and then out of the industry for 3. And I've been playing games my whole life. I can't think, maybe when Warner Brothers bought Atari back in the 70s, probably not even then. I can't think of a bigger financial video game story than this. Maybe I'm making it too big than it is, but this is I mean, hell, even Zynga buying, or even Take-Two buying Zynga for $12 billion the other day, that's a footnote, right? So that's what's going on.
So why I'm just trying to figure out why, because after all the controversy, I mean, you were saying how like their stock went low because of it and everything.
Well, I wasn't saying that. Somebody was saying to me that that they thought
the reason.
they thought that's why it went low.
But I mean, why would Microsoft want to do? Is Bobby Kotick still part of Activision?
No, so
Did he step down?
no. So the understanding is that what people are saying is we know for sure that Kotick apparently was on some news show today with Phil Spencer. I haven't seen that. I'll be showing that today at 5:00. I'll have a lot more details at 5:00. But Kotick apparently is on until the transition is done. And then, they're not saying anything. But I think it makes sense to assume that once the transition is done and Kotick keeps things going and keeps the value of Activision up or whatever, he's probably going to get put out to pasture with the most platinum parachute we've ever heard about. Which sucks, but at least he's gone. Ding dong, the witch. Ding dong, the witch is dead. He's rich. He's dead, but he's rich. He's richer than he ever was. He's richer than he should be. Think about this. There's a woman who sucks his cock. You know who sucks Bobby Kotick's cock is Sheryl Sandberg of Facebook. She sees enough in that man. The man is either charismatic enough, rich enough, powerful enough, or good looking enough that she says, you know what? I need me some Kotick cock tonight. Think about that, Spasmo. Think about it.
He showed her his bank account, and she's like, "Oh, yeah, I'll just suck that dick."
It's Sheryl Sandberg. She's one of the.
I don't know who that is.
She. I don't know if she's still at Facebook, but she used to run Facebook with Zuckerberg. She's one of the richest ladies in fucking.
Oh, damn.
I mean, think about that. One of the richest ladies, most successful ladies in Silicon Valley, is still unable to resist the Bobby Kotick tractor beam. Think about that. Novodama says, I don't want to think about that. Think about it, motherfucker. Anyway, that's what's up, Spaz. Hopefully I'll see you at 5. We'll talk more about it.
Do you think... Well, I guess, yeah, we'll talk about it later. Yeah,
all right. Okay. See you, buddy. All right, fellas. Well, that is going to do it. I appreciate you guys showing up and spending some time with me today and hanging out with me today and talking about this crazy news. Very much appreciated. If you like the show, we don't always just talk about the business stuff. We talk about game design and what's happening in the news, and we shoot the shit, blah, blah, blah. Click on the sub button, hang out with us. We'll be here Monday through Friday every day at 5:00. What else is going on? You can sub, notify, all that nonsense. If you liked it, hit the like button. If you don't, go fuck yourself. Either way, I appreciate you being here on the Gabbin' and the Games. Thank you, everybody. All the super chats, all the members, all the regulars. Thank you guys very, very much. And I'll see you soon. Bye, everybody. Thank you, Alex Eddie. I appreciate that, buddy. David Jaffe says, who's going to get my tractor beam? Jim Ryan, you got to work on that tractor beam, baby. You got to work on it. That's all I'm telling you. John Flattery, lots of wheel spins tonight. We'll see. I got to get that wheel working first. If Xbox ever beat PlayStation on sales, I'll move to Xbox. That's your loyalty is based on who sells what. Why not just buy what you like, baby? Someone like Kotick could retire happy and never have to worry about money again. He could have done that a long time ago. Thank you, Vic Viz. I appreciate it. Jaffe, we don't need timestamps for this. First off, Mr. K, you're sick, so don't worry about it. B, this is crazy. There's no way to timestamp this shit. Phil Spencer says, I love my wife. Gavin Russell, is this Gavin Russell like the game producer Gavin Russell, or you just happen to have the same name? See you, Jaffe. See you, Mo, you old so-and-so. Oh, yeah, Mo was saying, yeah, he works. He says, because you said that I'm watching you and I don't have a job, I'm not saying they don't know. I'm saying we don't know where the business model is yet. No, I get that, Mo, but I'm just saying that, we have to assume if they're professionals doing business, then, they got it unlocked. Gavin, what are you doing now? Are you still at Sony? Hang on, we're back on. Got to talk to Gavin. You're not at Sony anymore, are you? Are you still at Sony? I'm going to bring up Gavin's Moby page. Gavin's done a shit ton of work. He worked with me on Twisted. Is Moby the best place to go? I forget where everybody ends up. Everybody moves around and all that shit. What do we got? Gavin Russell. Okay. The last time, you're not even on here until 2005. Everyone's gone to The Rapture, The Order, Last of Us, Journey, Twisted Metal, of course, we worked on that. That's how I got to know you mostly. All-Star Battle Royales, Unfinished Swan. Yeah, you've been in it. You've been in it, baby. But what Moby doesn't have all 90 titles. So what have you been doing since you left Sony? Bacon Magma says, David Jaffe, I love Game Pass more than I love my kids. Yeah, it's probably true. Gavin and Games, that's right. I need to spend 70 billion. I need that Kotick charisma and then fire him. Phil Spencer, go for it, baby. Thank you, Dwight Dixon. I appreciate it, buddy. I'm waiting to see what Gavin's doing right now, and then I'm going to head out. PlayStation has sold a lot more than Xbox, but Xbox buying companies doesn't mean it will be better. Sure. Gavin, you're consulting and trying to set up your own team during the lockdown. Oh, excellent. Okay, cool. Well, good luck with that, man. Excellent. It's good to see you on here. I'd never seen you before, but I'm glad to see you here. You're getting back on track with funding. Best of luck. I remember going through that with Eat Sleep Play was easy because Sony just said yes. Bartlett Jones, I went to everyone, and then I went to Sony, and Scott Rohde's like, sure. I'm like, oh, I thought you hated me. Not him, but I thought I had burned too many bridges. She's like, no, just with this one person, and I made up with her. So, all right. Fellas, I'm out. Gavin, good to see you, buddy. I'll talk to you guys soon. And Rob the Mod, thank you so much, buddy. Oh, shit, Doge. Okay. Doge sent me these, oh, God, really? John Carmack is praising Bobby Kotick right now? It's disgusting. Doge sent me, which is Iden. I worked with Doge, and he's a designer. I worked with him at Bartlett Jones. He sent me one of the worst, most tasteless pictures I have ever seen related to anything, but certainly specific related to the Xbox acquisition. I'm not going to show it to you. If you want to see it, you got to show up at 5 o'clock. And I feel really bad about showing it, but it's not too soon to make a 9/11 joke, is it? Let's just keep it at that. Maybe I'll make it members only. No, I'm going to show it. It's horrible. Doge is going to hell, but I'm just showing you what Doge showed me, so I didn't make it. All right, fellas, I'm out. Bye.